and old, just like the NFL, pretty quick.
Rhett Lashlee's the new head football coach at SMU. He was there as the offensive coordinator for a couple of years. In fact, he now joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Rhett, there's nothing for you to be doing on the eve of National Signing Day, is there?
No, nothing at all. Nothing at all. I don't know what I'm going to do tonight.
So how late into the night? Things have changed so dramatically in recruiting over the 30, 40 years, and obviously since I've covered it. But what do you do? How late do you stay up? Because I know you want to see those names start popping first thing tomorrow morning.
Yeah, every year is different, to be honest with you. And you're right, things have changed, especially when they added the early signing period. You know, the majority of the kids sign tomorrow and not in February, but not all of them. But it's just a different feel than it used to be when that first Wednesday in February was everything. And, I just landed, been out of town, just landed on a plane. I'm going to go up to the staff room and with all our coaches, and we'll call all the committed guys or the guys that we're still in the mix with and try to talk to them one last time tonight. And then it just depends. You know, some years it's pretty quiet and pretty straightforward and boring. Some years your phone may ring at 12:30 a.m. and you got to answer it. If you don't, you're probably not getting the kids. So, it's just every year has a life of its own.
So do you have to put your ringer on super loud? Do you is it just attached to you? Like, what if you go to the bathroom? You have to take your phone with you? I mean, are these things you have to plot out during the, eve?
It pretty much, it's like that girl you liked growing up, man, and you don't want to miss her call. So if you miss it, you may be out. And, fortunately for me, I haven't been sleeping a whole lot lately anyway, so I'm used to being up right now.
Yeah, well, imagine, Coach, that stress, that's just uncertainty, and also excitement. I mean, it's been, about 2 weeks since you took the job or were named officially the new head coach at SMU. I know you've been around at a lot of different places from high school to college. To reach this point in your career, to reach and achieve the dream of becoming a head coach, I mean, what's this last couple of weeks been like for you?
It's been a lot of fun. I mean, there's a saying that's like drinking out of a fire hose when you get your first head job. I disagree. I think it's probably like 2 or 3 fire hoses. But I've loved every second of it, obviously because I'm really excited about being here at SMU. I believe in this place. I think it's a great place. I think we can do great things here in Dallas. And, I know we got good players on our team. We're going to sign some good players tomorrow. And you know what? We're going to still have some other spots left too. And, we'll have between now and next August till we take the field to go, try to improve our team and bring the right kind of people in here. I'm really excited about the staff we're putting together, and it's just a lot of fun, kind of building the staff, building the team, and getting ready to start, what we want to do here.
I remember when Bill Snyder took over at Kansas State, he had to rebuild them through junior college football, and he did an incredible job. We know the story. Hall of Famer, he's rebuilt them twice. And now you have regular National Signing Day. Now you have the early one. Now you have the transfer portal. How important is mixing the two? And which one of the two, in your opinion, Rhett, is most important?
Well, I think it's important. That's the way our game's gone. Whether you like it or not, that's what we're doing. And so you better get on board and you better be really good at it. And look, the reality of it is the NFL still has the draft and they have free agency. And, us recruiting high school kids is still our draft. And you build teams through the draft in the NFL. And you build sustainable programs and foundations through your recruiting from the high school ranks. But the transfer portal has now become kind of our version of free agency. And so what it allows you to do is, each year you've got a hole here, a hole there. Maybe a kid left early to go to the NFL. Maybe a kid on your team left, whatnot. Or you just feel like you have to get better at a certain position to compete in your league. The transfer portal allows you to supplement your roster and try to add pieces that give you the best chance year in, year out to have the best team you can have.
Coach, we are very familiar with your quarterback, Tanner Mordecai. We did his games when he was at Midway. Your offense with his arm, how excited are you to call plays with Tanner Mordecai behind center?
Really, obviously, he had a fantastic year. I mean, threw him a bunch of touchdown passes. And, I knew him when he was out of high school and obviously went to Oklahoma. And he came here last year and just did an excellent job. I'm really excited about him. I'm really excited about Preston Stone, the freshman we have that I got to recruit for 2.5 years when I was here the first time. And I just think he is super talented. And I think he's got just an incredible future here as well. So we feel really fortunate to have those guys because at the end of the day, you got to have really good quarterback play. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are if you want to have a chance to win. So we feel very fortunate.
You mentioned you've been there before. You've been a part of the rise of SMU. What's it been like? I mean, obviously Sonny Dykes goes over to TCU, but they had a great little run under him. And just these last few years, it just seems like momentum's been building and building for a program that, as you know, didn't have it for the longest time. What's that been like to just kind of experience and to jump back into now?
Yeah, I mean, I think Sonny deserves a ton of credit for what he's done here and the foundation he's helped build over the last 4 years. And I was fortunate enough that he hired me on his first staff here, and I'm very grateful. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here right now. You know, I feel like I had a good part in getting that started. You know, in my last year here, 2 years ago, we won 10 football games, and that was kind of, I feel like, the breakthrough here. You know, we won 10 games for the first time since the 80s, and we broke a lot of school records. I know, and that and we played a lot of good football here for a long time. Just a lot of things happened, but most importantly, I think winning those 10 games it gave our program and all of the players that were coming back confidence, like we can do this here. It gave our fan base, it gave everyone confidence and belief that we can do special things here at SMU. And then, of course, the last few years, having back-to-back winning seasons again, has just kind of continued that. And so now what we're creating is a winning culture. And when you start to create a winning culture, your players, they expect to win. And there's a lot of power in that. And so, that's where it is. And that's why I'm excited to be coming back at a time like this where we can try to build on that.
What are your thoughts? And SMU actually at least tried to do it as well as they could with Coach Dykes, waiting until their last game or after their last game. And then, of course, TCU was open because Gary Patterson had moved on. The thoughts about how early signing period has affected the coaching carousel, and your thoughts about how it's affected it so early in the year.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't know. We've got to do something to try to get a handle on the fact that, the early signing period has sped up the coaching changes and the cycles, which is just really not fair to coaches or to players or to people who love our game. And I think the transfer situation has as well. And so I think while the early signing period and the transfer situation maybe have a lot of good things for our game, we've just got to find a way to try to, maybe put some parameters on it that don't run our regular season, that don't do things where it puts everybody just in a tough spot like it has at times over the last few years.
How difficult is it when you have a kid that wants to jump in the portal during the year to reassess the depth at a position?
Well, it's tough, but here's the thing. Like, until just a couple years ago, kids never would have done that because they didn't have that option. And so since they didn't have the option, they didn't do it. And you know how many times a kid after game 3 or 4 thought, man, I'm not going to get any playing time, or I wanted to play more than or the year didn't start how I wanted to, but they didn't have a choice, so they stuck it out. And maybe 2 games later, the guy in front of them gets hurt, they become the starter and have a great career, or they end up sticking it out and really good things happen. That happens more times than not. The problem is now we've given them a reason to or an option to just leave in the middle of the year. And that's not fair to the kid. That doesn't even protect the kid from himself. And so that's why I say there's got to be some parameters, whether it's, hey, in the NFL, they have free agency windows. Mm-hmm. There's certain times you can be a free agent. There's certain times you're locked in on the roster. And so that's what I mean by I don't think a lot of the things that are happening necessarily are bad. We just got to find the best way to do it to protect the student athlete and to protect, the teams. So, we don't lose the integrity of our game.
So, Rhett, your history with football, goes deep. But like I mentioned, you've been at a lot of different places. Also, set a lot of marks in high school as a player. Time in the state of Arkansas, all the records that you hold and all of that. Where does your love for football, though, begin? Who put the ball in your hands, so to speak, to begin with? Where did that passion get ignited to lead you to where you are right now?
Well, if I'm being honest, I was probably 7, 8 years old, and I was, for whatever reason, I was a big 49er fan. Joe Montana was in his prime. Bill Walsh was out there doing great things with Jerry Rice and John Taylor, Roger Craig, all those guys. And that was really my first memory of pro football. And then I grew up in Arkansas. So Arkansas was in the Southwest Conference with SMU at that time. And those were a lot of my early memories. And then I had this little football, and I would play tackle football in the living room with my dad. And I just loved every second of it. He was a high school coach for the first 8 years out of college before deciding that he wanted to make some money, so he got into his own business and did a different career. But I would say that's when I knew that I loved it and played it every year. My first year was tackle football in the first grade, and I really never looked back.
Hey, Rhett, thank you very much, man. We appreciate your time. Congratulations on the opportunity. We appreciate you. Good luck tomorrow on National Signing Day, plus adding whatever else you do the rest of the way. One more thing, SMU, of course, has come back, and where you are now and where they were this year. I mean, they were a part of the conversation in the top 25. How would you tell anyone during this college football realignment that SMU should be a part of a Power 5 conference?
Well, I think you got to worry about where you are right now. I mean, we've got to worry about competing for a championship and winning the championship now. You know, to your point, 2 years ago when we won 10 games, I was here when we were ranked again in the top 20, and we played at Memphis, and it was the college game day game. You know, Fowler and Herbstreit were there. It was a shootout. It was a great game. Same thing this year. You know, we climbed back up into the top 25 again. So I think we've proven that, you know, we can play with and beat anyone. I mean, look at the last two times we played TCU. SMU's won that game. And so, look, I think we've over the last 3 years been able to prove that we can win here and we can play with anybody. But we've just got to continue to build. Sustained success is hard to have. We got to find a way to keep it, and then put ourselves in a position to play for and ultimately win some championships. And hey, the rest of that other stuff will take care of itself.
Thank you, Rhett. Appreciate it. Good luck tonight and tomorrow as well, and going forward. Rhett Lashlee, the head coach at SMU, he was there. He was a high school coach in Springdale, Arkansas. As Craig mentioned, broke some records as a player, and has been at some Auburn, Arkansas. Obviously, he was just at Miami with the U, and now back where he was under Sonny Dykes at SMU.
Yeah, and they got a bowl game coming up in a couple of weeks. Play Virginia in the Fenway Bowl.
Jim Leavitt is going to be the interim head coach for that one.
Mm-hmm. So
that'll don't fumble.
One. Yeah, but SMU, they should be the favorite, and yeah, they're 8-4, and then you got the Cavs are 6-6. So you know, Brennan Armstrong, that'll be a nice little test for that SMU defense. He's a good player and threw for a lot of yards. So yeah, I would expect some points in that one. But yeah, that's a couple weeks away. We haven't really gotten it. Bowl season hasn't just kicked off just yet, but we're getting close.
Yeah, and it does come at you quickly because it starts this weekend, as you mentioned. Brigham Young, as we mentioned, to Kalani Sitake. When we come back, Paul Catalina's top 5. Man, a lot to get